Authors Class.
Yes, I was born in Europe. I was born in Sarajevo, part of old Yugoslavia, and I immigrated to Italy, and then I immigrated to the United States at the age of 20. I worked in factories to make a living. I went to evening school. I got a high school equivalency. I got a scholarship for college. I got a fellowship for graduate school, and I ended with a doctorate degree in psychology. I camped in Scotland, and I fell in love with its people, with its countryside, history, mythology, and then I suddenly learned about Picts, and Picts were the original inhabitants of Scotland. And according to Roman historians, they fought Roman legionnaires naked except for paint on their body, and they were very brave and honorable. And I was fascinated by the Picts. So I thought I should honor them with a book. And I wrote this book, Searching Pictish Ghosts. And the story is about Marc, a 42-year-old man who is shy and insecure. And in the library book, he reads about a man who spent 3 months in Highlands, Scottish Highlands, during the winter, in a cabin with no electricity and no water. And he endured the deprivation, but then on evenings when he would go to the toilet, he felt invisible eyes spying on him. And that added to his sense of discomfort. Well, Marc, who was familiar with the history, Scottish history, decided that the eyes had to belong to Pictish ghosts because the cabin was in the heartland, in the home territory of the Picts. And so he decides on the spot of the moment to go to Scotland and look for the Pictish ghost and ask them to share with him the secrets of their ancestors' heroism and honor. You see, he feels very insecure, very passive, and doesn't feel quite like a man. And he thinks if he goes to Scotland, that the Pictish ghost might teach him how to be a man. No, I just camped there, and I enjoyed visiting castles in the mist, lakes, and I found people to be very, very, especially in the islands, very innocent. They were like childlike, and that warmed my heart. And so, while I enjoyed my stay in Scotland very much and visited very wonderful places, it never occurred to me to write a book while I was there. But when I got back home, I kept missing the country and the people and the history and the myth and and the castles. And then I thought, well, I ought to do something about it, and I wrote this book. Like I said, Marc was a very insecure man, and he wanted very much to feel strong inside, to hold his own ground. And the Picts were very valiant, very strong, very heroic, they were willing to give up their lives for their freedom. They were fearless. And so he became fascinated with the character and thought, in his mind, since in these cabins there were these eyes that looked at this guy, and he was convinced that the eyes belonged to Pictish ghosts. Well, if he got there and befriended the ghost, they would teach him how to be the kind of man he wants to be. I tried. I have a dozen books, but nobody knows anything about Picts. Most of the books claim that, they just don't have the information available. Picts did not live much. Their civilization is little known. There are some statues, there are some there's some evidence that they were very proud people, but it's not like Roman that do have an immense history and ruins to go back to learn about them. The Picts left very little. It's almost like you have to be your own historian in a way, yeah. No, I did not return to Scotland. No, I did not. Yeah, well, Scotland is a fascinating place. There's so much to see. The book is almost like a guide to Scotland as well, because I went to the islands, to the Highlands, Glasgow. I mean, I immersed myself in history. I immersed myself in the myth. I immersed myself in the culture, and I spent 2 weeks there, and I got a really deep sense about Scotland as a country, its people, and like I said, fascinating. I recommend very highly. I would want everybody to go to Scotland. A path to self-realization. Like I said, it's a journey not only to discover Scotland, but a journey to discover oneself. Learns a great deal about himself, the kind of a person he is, what he has to do to grow to be a real man. It's a discovery on all levels. It's a discovery of Scottish history, of Scottish myth, of Scottish people, and ultimately of self, the individual discovering himself. Well, yes, I live in reality. I pride myself that I'm a realist, but this book is fantasy. And I questioned myself whether I had what it took, to create a fantasy that sounded realistic enough to be believable. And that was essentially my struggle, like this character meets ghosts. Well, I never met ghosts in my life, so I had to use my imagination to create an event that was believable, even if it was pure fantasy. And that was hard. My connection is, I kind of wish, like in my next life, I'd be born as a Scot. I feel I have been very enriched by my experience. I was well accepted by the Scots. They don't like the Brits, the ones I met, but they were very open and warm and friendly with me, and I felt like I had come to my home. which sounds crazy since I was born in Sarajevo, to feel like I found a home in Scotland. But it still stays with me, a very warm, welcoming sense about the country. At moments I felt elated. At moments I felt hopeless because, like I said, I wasn't sure that I would be able to do justice to the Picts, But in the end, I felt very pleased. In the end, I felt that I had done a positive job, and I had a friend who edited the book, who was valuable, and he encouraged me, to stick with the book, and I did, and I owe him gratitude for his trust in me. But essentially, I felt very, very good when the book was finished. No, I had this very naive notion that the book would be discovered by itself. So I just let it sit, It was published 5 years ago, and I didn't do anything. And then it hit me that I was naive, like I just said, that the book deserved to be put out in the public eye. So I never got any feedback. Nobody read the book that I know during those 5 years. But so now I'm hoping that will change, and I will have chance to hear from people and learn what they think of. The book is very dear to me, but I felt bad eventually realizing that it was not dear to anybody else. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so now that we're doing publicity for the book, that people will contact me, and I'll be able to share with them some of my, my enrichment and encourage them to follow the path that I followed. Yes, I really hope that happens. I think it's very hard for a human being in this world today to be totally confident, totally certain about his place in life, his destiny, you know what I mean? And I think my book can be a little bit of a catalyst. The book can serve as a vehicle to open a new path, so a person can broaden his outlook on life, his awareness of himself as to who he or her is as a human being, and step forward with greater confidence and courage. Oh, it's wonderful. I feel like I have been adopted. I'm honest, I feel like everybody cares, everybody wants what's best for me. I mean, I don't remember having had that experience in a long time.